Welcome, Assemblywoman Carter, to the Kane University Government Affairs and Community Partnerships Women's History Month podcast interview. We are doing these interviews to get a sense of women legislators across the state and why they decided to get involved in politics, what they can give back to the community, why just a little sense of why they wanted to get involved, and just a little their insight on why they're here, how they got here, and a few words from them to possible future legislators. So my first question to you, Wonder Woman, Assemblywoman Linda Carter. First, tell us what legislative district you represent, and then what inspired you to run for office, and what was the moment that solidified your decision to enter politics?
Okay, so as you know, I'm Assemblywoman Linda Carter. I represent Legislative District 22, is majority Union County. So in Union County, I represent one town in Somerset County, which is North Plainfield, and 9 other towns in Union County: Plainfield, Scotch Plains, Fanwood, Linden, Rahway, Roselle Park, Cranford, Winfield, and Clark. So I named them all. I'm impressed with myself. I've been representing them since January, all that particular area since January, since redistricting this year. When I look at politics, I got into politics first as a member of Plainfield City Council, and I was asked to run, and I was in between. That was a transition time. I just been kind of figuring out whether I was going to stay in New Jersey or move out of state or even stay in Plainfield. And really, it was a time frame in Plainfield where there was a needed change in leadership, in who had a say in some of the things that were going on locally. So I was asked by he's currently Mayor Adrian Matt, to run, and who said, listen, you can do this. And I was like, yeah, nah, not going to do it. And then I was starting to get phone calls, and I was like, wait a minute. Everybody that's calling me and everybody that has a seat at the table are males. And I was like, I'm not really liking that. I don't like the fact that here it is that there is no representation of females.
Right.
So I decided, I didn't think, I was like, listen, what do I have to lose? Only thing that can happen is either the voters say yes
Or no.
or no. So I said, okay, let's do this 3 days before petitions were due. And I literally ran in a primary off of the line and won in the primary. And then since then, I haven't stopped. It's been one of the best decisions I've made.
Okay, so you touched on something there in terms of politics kind of being a male-dominated arena. So how has being a woman shaped your perspective and approach to policy making in Trenton, but I guess over time, because you talked about how you started, and we know where you are now that you're in Trenton as an assemblywoman. So how has being a woman shaped your perspective and approach to policy making in Trenton, but over time as a whole, your time as a politician? You're still muted.
And I apologize. I was trying to, let me give it 1 second.
Yep, no problem, no problem. For those of you listening to our podcast, our assembly people also have other jobs, and Assemblywoman Linda Carter is an educator. So the sounds you can hear in the background is because she's educating.
Yes, and I apologize. It's early in the morning. We have lots going on over here. And yes, I'm a high school educator. So morning announcements and trying to get, students where they need to be, especially when you have celebrations like Honor Roll. And that's what they're doing today. Yes.
Yay, honor roll.
For all of our students and our scholars. All of our students are scholars, though. But when I look at it, and when I first got into this, it was, it was very eye opening. I looked at it as, wait a minute, you know what? There isn't much representation of women, and then also of women of color. And I looked at it and I took it very serious. And anything that I approached, if I'm going to go into it, I go into it, and I go into it 100%. And that's
Right.
what I did. And it was like, listen, as I've moved up in the ranks from city council to now they're called commissioners, but I was elected as a freeholder for Union County. And now as an assemblywoman, I look at it as we really are individuals who don't have as much representation. Women, we weren't represented well. When you looked at the assembly has changed a lot over the last 10 to 15 years, where it used to be a lot of white males. It is now, when you look at it, representation is changing. You're seeing the room change. When I
Right.
sit and I look around, you're seeing more women, you're seeing more individuals of color, black and brown. You're looking at individuals who really are, we're at the table, and our voices in the legislation that we're currently passing, you can see that we're taking into consideration, well, wait a minute, it's not from a perspective of a male thinking what they know, and all actual reality of women sitting and saying, that's not, this is how it really needs to be. This is how you affect it. And we are looking at more legislation that is, I would say, it is more equitable. And we're not there yet, but we
Hmm.
are better than what we were.
Okay, so with the strides that New Jersey has taken um, to increase the female representation in government, what do you think still needs to change to make politics more accessible and equitable for women?
I think we still need to make sure that people get out and they make a choice. You have to vote. You must get out there and you must make a choice. You can't sit up there and think that this person can't make a change. But look at what it is. If you want representation for your area to be the way that your area looks demographically, then you have to go out and you have to vote. But you also have to support. Your voices are a way of making the issues known. You have to make sure that you're reaching out to your legislators. You have to make sure that you're having those conversations and telling them what you feel. Listen, I don't know everything, but I
Hmm.
rely on people. So when there's an issue that comes up, I have to go to the experts. And when it's something that deals with women's health, I go to experts that are in the women's health field. I will go to a woman doctor. I will go to a woman who has a doula or anybody that's in that field.
Right.
And also, I will get a male perspective also, because it's important that we understand from all aspects of where they're looking at it along with us. But we have to be willing to make sure that our information is heard and be willing to stand up and make sure that we speak out about what it is that we need. And, the only way that your legislators are going to know that is by hearing from you. And that makes a big difference.
Absolutely. So, for as long as I've known you, which is forever,
Yeah.
you have, on top of being involved in politics from being a councilwoman to moving on to the Union County, at the time, Freeholder Board, but now Commissioner Board, and then to the State Assembly, you've also been an educator, which is public service. So, what advice would you give to a young woman who is interested in pursuing a career in public service?
Follow your passion. If it's something that, public service is something you want to do, get involved. Figure out how you can make it. You have to be able to bring people together. And that is the biggest thing. It's not about just me. And I've never made it just about me. I made it about what the issue is and bringing people together and bringing people to the table that we can literally come up with the best solution for our community and all. And it's also a matter of give and take. We have to be able to say, you know what? Yeah, okay, maybe I can't do it this way, but that doesn't mean that's a no. I just got to figure out how to get around it and how to get there. But when you're doing this, if you have a passion for it, go for it. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to talk up. Don't be afraid to ask the hard questions. It makes a difference.
It absolutely does. Can you share with me some of the biggest challenges that you faced as a woman running for office and how you've overcome them?
One of the biggest challenges is people not really taking you seriously, especially first. But when you look at some of the challenges, it's really about when you walk into a room and you're walking into a room that you're the only woman, the only
Hmm.
female, and they're looking at you, how do you make sure that your voice is being heard? And that is the biggest challenge. And you have to be able to be willing to step up and have those conversations. And sometimes you just need to point out some of the hard stuff, some of the things that you really wouldn't point out, but it's like, wait a minute, time out, and you might have to just stop. And I've done that in many, many conversations. I would be in a couple of meetings and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, hold it. Why
Hmm.
are you going to flip on me because I'm bringing this up?
Right.
Because I'm a woman or I'm sitting here, don't try to dismiss me,
Dismiss me, demean me. Right.
right? Demean me, but I just want you to hear what I have to say. And all, you can take the pieces you need to take from it. You may not agree with me 100%, but I need you to see my perspective.
I love it. What have been some of your proudest accomplishments during your time in the legislature?
Some of really partnerships that I've been able to build,
Okay.
really being that voice for individuals that are more vulnerable than others. We have a lot. We have our seniors, we have our youth, and sometimes they don't feel as if their voices are heard.
Correct.
But by sitting down and talking with them, I've been able to really craft some legislation that has really helped our community. Legislation that's been able to be better and more equitable for those in our community. When I look at some of the things that we've been doing, and as I look at policies, let's talk about maybe just even rent control. New Jersey doesn't have rent control across the state, that's left up to the municipalities.
Correct.
But we have to make sure that, we continue to fight, that we are not having landlords not take care of their properties, not do some of the things that they need to do, and then are charging astronomical fees. People can't afford it. Our seniors can't afford it. We have to make sure that we're putting in making sure that we're making New Jersey as a policymaker and affordable New Jersey, opportunities for everybody and all. And one of the nice things about being in the legislature and also being an educator, I do work-based learning. And
Hmm.
it's a lot has to deal with training of our students and
Right.
giving them opportunity to see and saying, hey, listen, I have to do more than just get a high school diploma. I
Right.
need to be moving on and getting that training, but also following their passion of what they want to do. And
Right.
it makes a huge difference, and I'm at the seat and at the table to be able to do just that. Help with work development, help with opportunity to move individuals where listen showcasing some of the things that they have. I have interns that over the last couple of years I've had them come into my office, high school interns,
Hmm.
and they really see and they what what public administration is the way to go.
Right.
Right, being able to see and make a difference in advocating um, for some of the things that they even just want to do makes a huge difference. Workforce development, having to make sure housing, that there's housing for everybody,
Hmm.
and it's affordable housing. And everybody said, what is affordable? Affordable is what you can afford.
Right.
And you have, just like we have so many of our seniors, you say, oh, seniors are on, limited income. We're all on limited income. Only income I have is income that I raise and put into my house. That's my limited
Right.
income.
Yep.
And if prices and everything in housing continue to go up, then we can't afford it. I want to be able to keep my seniors here. I want to be able to have, when you get out of high school and you go to school in New Jersey and you finish your college education in New Jersey, or even when you get out of high school, I don't want you to be moving to other states. I want you to be able
Right.
to stay right here in
Be
New
able to stay
Jersey
here.
and live and work here, and be part of our community that you've grown up in.
Okay. With that, What policies or legislations are you currently working on that you believe will have the most significant impact on New Jersey residents?
When I look at some of the things that I'm working on, policies that really do affect what they're doing and how they're doing it. I look at some of my policies and things that we're doing, but I look around some of the policies that we can do that really affect, our housing. I worked on a piece of legislation about a year ago and working through it that we were able to get through both houses, the upper and lower, the Assembly and the Senate. Whereas there was a huge disconnect when we have our apartment complexes and all. It's at, there's levels. The municipality is in charge of inspecting and everything. And then there are where it goes to the state, where there's a disconnect. The state wasn't communicating with the municipalities. If the
Mm,
state goes out and inspects the apartment complex, four or larger, places like that, there was no communication back to the municipality, and the jurisdiction really fell on the state. And then there wasn't any jurisdiction with the municipality. Well, we passed a legislation where, listen, we have to work collectively together. Got to notify. Listen, if they have these violations, let the municipality know, because the municipality also, residents aren't calling the state immediately, they're calling the
it's
municipality.
good.
And we have to really work collectively together and make sure that we're not overlapping, but we are making sure that we are working collectively together and being able to make sure that our residents have, if there's something that's wrong, listen, let's get it corrected. Our landlords, whether you're a landlord of a two family, a
Mm-hmm.
four family, or a unit that has 100 apartments in it, you have to be accountable. You have
Correct.
to right, you have to be able to do some of the things and get some of the repairs you need to get done. But if you're in violation, listen, it shouldn't take you 2 years to get them fixed. You need to be working on it, but who's inspecting it? And we can't continue to go off of, oh, we don't have enough resources. Well, we have to make sure we have the resources, and people rely on that, and they
Right.
take advantage of that. And one of the things that I look at when we look at legislation, how is it that's going to benefit? And what is it going to do? Is it really going to make a difference? And we have to really absolutely do that and put legislation that, you know what? We're not just looking for a solution for one thing, we're looking for a solution for all.
For everything. Right. All right. Can you talk to me about a mentor or role model who influenced your political journey and how they shaped your leadership style?
When I look at my mentors,
It can be me, that's fine.
I was going to say, absolutely. I look at, as much as I've worked with you and we've known each other, you truly have been an influence. But to that, your family truly has been an influence to me, the Matt family. When the McWilliams family in Plainfield, former mayor that passed away, Al McWilliams, and all, and just being able to talk to them and
Mm-hmm.
seeing, and it's about visionaries. When
Mm-hmm.
I look at what we're doing and all, my mother, who always told me, listen, you have to be able to speak up. You have to be able to say what it is, how you feel, what's going on. But looking out for our seniors, making sure, touching base with them, making us accountable. And I truly believe, when I heard Shirley Chisholm say, the services, the rent that we pay to live here, and we have to, and it is. So we have to be able to give back. And I've always been able to do that. That's one of the things that I think that's very important, that we have organizations and we have people in our community. Listen, we have to be able to give something back. We can't always say we're get, but how is it that we can make our community better and leave it better than when I came here? And what is it that we can do to help each other? We have to always be able to look out for each other. And we also have to, just like growing up, I've always had mentors through my church, growing up in St. Mark's, yes, absolutely. And even when I look at what Canon Lyons, Father Lyons at the time now, Canon Lyons, he was able to making sure that the youth group, what is it that you all would like to see done? And
Mm-hmm.
getting us involved to make some changes and putting
Yes.
and making sure he's putting, you know what? Listen, I was one of the first female acolytes that were at the church.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of making sure, listen, women and girls can do the same thing as our boys can do.
Yes.
But those are the type of mentors that I've had. People who have always saw a lot of times in me what I didn't see in myself and pushing me, but I had to be willing and open to be able to take and say, okay, yes, and stepping out on that. And then sometimes that happens. Individuals push you. My mother always pushed me to do things sometimes that I said I didn't want to do. And she's like, yeah, no, let's think about this. And sometimes she forced me. And I was like, "Arr."
And that's
But
what you do.
right, but it
As
was
you,
the
you know.
best, and that's the best thing that can be done. And even like today, I've been involved in Big Brothers Big Sisters. Previously, I'm on the board for the Girl Scouts now. We have to be there for our young girls. We have to be there for even our young boys, giving them a place to grow when, and an opportunity. One of the biggest things, I started working at 14, and Mr. Henderson, who owned McDonald's in Plainfield, I think
Mm.
that was also a huge thing for me also, and really helped me with a lot of my work ethics that I have today. He gives 14-year-olds an opportunity to come and work. Who does that?
Right.
And back then, not a lot of people were doing that. You had to wait until you were 16 or
Yep.
18 and
Yep.
all, but being able to say, hey, listen, come work, come see what it's all about. And being able to see, you know what, hey, we can do this. There's a work balance. There's, you know what, you can work. You got to be able to make sure that you can handle working and going to school. And education is, a grounding. You always are going to be learning things like that. But those are a lot of my mentors, but through church, through my community, through my family. Looking at, some of my family members who have owned businesses and have developed businesses. And I look at some of my younger cousins now who are, designing their jewelry line, developing things in the community and organizing things in the community. It's about our family, as mentors. Also having just, people that are in leadership and willing to take you on and having those just conversations and pushing you.
Absolutely. All right. How do you balance the demands of public service with personal and family life, and what keeps you motivated to continue this work? You touched on it, but
Balance is a hard thing, sometimes you have to, and balance is really something that you have to try to maintain. Sometimes it gets hard. I have to look at my schedule like this. "Ooh, wait a minute, hold it." But it is all about balance. And what I do sometimes is you just have to take that. I will take time, a half an hour a day. I've committed to myself every day just to be able to kind of breathe, see
yes.
where I'm going. But it's also a matter of communication, working collectively, and you know what? Being part of having your friends and making time for your family, making time for your friends. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I literally will put it in my calendar because I'm tied to a calendar. I look at my calendar and I tell people if it's not on my calendar, I'm probably not going to do it. So
Yes.
sometimes I will block out time just to make sure I do that. But
Right.
balance is a hard thing. Like I work a full-time job. Legislating is set, they say it's a part-time position, but really it is a full-time position.
Yeah.
So I try to make sure during that window, and I'm committed to staying within that window and meeting with as many people as I can, hearing from them, but also being able to have that outlet of communication, going to church, making sure that, spiritually, mentally, and I have to make time for making sure that I take care of myself. And that is all about that half an hour every day. What is it that I have to do for me?
Right. And lastly, what are some words of advice that you would give to a future legislator, someone who wants to rise in the ranks and be sitting in the seat that you are sitting in?
You got to be able to be bold. You have to be able to, you're out there, you're doing the things that you need to do, and don't be afraid. Don't sit there and try to say, well, I regret not doing. Listen, what is the worst that can happen is it doesn't work out, then you make a change.
Right.
Be willing to change. And that is the one thing. And I tell, the consistent things in life is change and time. Time keeps ticking and it
Mm-hmm.
waits for nobody. So don't wait, and say, hey, I'll do it next week. You can do it now, do it now.
Right.
Be bold enough to do it and be willing to speak up.
Wonderful. Well, Wonder Woman, Assemblywoman Linda Carter, thank you for joining us. Thank you for answering these questions for us. Thank you for joining us for our Kane University Government Affairs and Community Partnerships Women's History Month interview. And we appreciate your time. We appreciate that you always, when we ask, you answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you to Kane University for all that you all are doing. This program is important. And I appreciate the opportunity to sit here and talk with you. And I look forward to seeing you soon.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely. Have a great day.